Good evening. This is Warrior Empowerment Hour on WRGG 93.7 FM. Here we go. So this is Mr. Too Easy, where I talk about my 16 years in the military, my life before the military, and my life after the military. So I don't speak for all veterans, but hopefully something I say can help you understand on why your veteran or warrior may do some of the things he or she may be doing. So let's get right into it. So, of course, the Veteran Crisis Hotline is 1-800-273-8255, and press 1 because guess what? You're the number one priority. We have to reduce this 22 a day suicide with our veterans, so definitely, and our warriors. So we definitely have to combat that and stay vigilant on that. Also, every third Saturday at the Route 30 Family Restaurant, they have a first responders breakfast that's led by John Kennedy. That's in Chambersburg, Pennsylvania, 1021 Lincoln Way West. And they usually meet from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. So every third Saturday, just stop on by, say hello, and just sit down and fellowship with the guys and girls. Also, don't forget Blackout. You can go to www.blackoutinc, and that's Inc. spelled INC.org. Remember, they're doing a drive to collect as many thank you and Christmas cards to send to our warriors that's overseas and abroad to show them our gratitude. So the goal is 10,000 cards. So definitely keep that in mind. Let's see what else we have here. So also, if you're looking for a new used automobile, go down to Mayhem Auto Brokers, located at 6088 Molly Pitcher Highway. They can be contacted at 717-375-4800. So, hey, come on down there. Let them know you heard it on the radio station and see what they can do for you. They have all types of vehicles. If it has wheels, they sell it. I went by there today. They have some Jeeps, have some pickup trucks, some SUVs, some sedans, some cars. Mercedes, BMW, Chevy, Ford, you name it, they have it. So definitely check them out. So of course, get right into it. So I had a listener send me a message and ask, how did I get to Letterkenny Depot, the Chambersburg area, and how much I like it, stuff like that. So I'll definitely get right into that story. So basically, long story short, I did my first tour to Iraq from 03 to 05, one straight 2-year stint, and it was definitely something to experience. But when I came back, and I was stationed at Fort Bragg at the time, and when I came back, I just wasn't, as they say, fit to the quality of life to civilian life. So I got stationed. After that was where was I? It was at Fort Meade. So I had a little stint out there, and they was like, hey, you know what? You have a lot of road rage, a lot of anger issues. We don't know what this is, so we're going to send you to Letterkenny Depot. So I'm like, all right, no problem. And lo and behold, I came to Letterkenny in 05, mid 05. So, and that's where I was seen at the Carlisle Barracks at their facility, medical facility. And then that's when they told me I had basically combat PTSD and some manic depressant and, TBI and some other stuff. So basically, I'm going to give you the symptoms of combat PTSD, just in case we have some listeners that don't know what it is or just unsure. So some common symptoms include the following: intense feeling of distress when reminded of a traumatic event, extreme physical reaction to a reminder of a traumatic event such as nausea, sweating, or pounding heart, invasive, upsetting memories of the traumatic event, flashbacks, feeling like trauma is happening again, nightmares of the frightening things of the traumatic event or events, loss of interest in life and daily activities, feeling emotionally numb and detached from people, sense of not leading a normal life, not having a positive outlook on your future, avoiding certain everyday activities, avoiding thoughts, feelings, or places that remind you of your tragedy, and difficult remembering important aspects of your life or tragedy. So those are some common things. There's other things too, but those are the most common. So, which is very interesting. I had most of them right there. I was very numb. My feelings were numb, and then I was being seen. So then that's when they told me, and that's when after I started, my treatment. Of course, I was still on active duty, and let's see, that was in '05. Then '06, I had an attempt on my life of suicide. It was a lot of things going on, and then they sent me to Walter Reed for about 6 months. So that was I learned a lot from that. Came back to Letterkenny, and then because I was still on active duty, then basically started it all over. Boom, and then they had me on the medication that suited me. From there, I went to another deployment from, what was it, '09 to 2010, and and they attached me to another unit out of the Montana area. And it was funny because and it's funny now because it was my life, my experience, so I laugh at it, but it's not really a laughing matter. But it was funny because when I got attached to this unit, the first sergeant pulled me in the office. It was like, okay, Sergeant Brown, we understand that, you on medication for certain things about your military career. He said, you do realize you're going back to the combat zone. So we do not, he says, we suggest that that maybe you should not take your medication once you get into flight. So I'm like, okay, I really didn't pay attention to it. It is what it is. And it's funny now, but, after, we went back over there, and, I was talking to, some fellow E5s and stuff, and corporals, and then they was like, oh yeah, we heard this, da da da. So how was your first tour? We just jaw jacking, you know what we do. And then I was like, yeah. I said, man, first sergeant told me I shouldn't take my medication. So and he was like, yeah. So one guy, he'd been in the unit for a while. He's like, yeah. He said, look, we need you on your P's and Q's. He says, hey, you got to release the beast. So then, we laughed and stuff like that. But, we understood what it was, and I understood what he was saying then. But when he first pulled me in the office, I was like, I don't really understand what he's saying. But it is what it is. It's like, all right, first sergeant, no problem, top, boom, whore. So, but, I did my next tour. It was only a year, which was pretty good. But then upon me getting back, I was retiring out, got out, became a DA civilian, then became a defense contractor. So in the midst of that, I did my inpatient up in Martinsburg, West Virginia, and had a great treatment team, wonderful people out there. So that's when they kind of gave me the aspect on what combat PTSD affects when it comes to your brain, and which is basically the amygdala, and the, I may be mispronouncing it, but the ventromedial cortex and the hippocampus. So, which is pretty interesting. So I was like, well, that's a whole mouthful, tongue twister. So then they kind of explain what the amygdala is, and the main way they explain it, and you're around veterans, and the doctor's been doing this for years and years and years. So they kind of say, you've seen what is it, Waterboy? We're like, yeah. So everybody starts saying, yeah, we laugh. And it was like, yeah, something's wrong with your medulla oblongata. So it's kind of an icebreaker. So then they explained that the amygdala is a limbic system that involves emotions and motivation. So particularly those related to survival. It's involved the processes of emotions such as fear, anger, and pleasure. So that kind of gave me a better perspective on, why when I first came back from the first tour, I was looking for that adrenaline rush. I was looking to fill that void, as well as I didn't have any pleasure in certain things, and which is pretty awesome. Not awesome that I didn't have pleasure in certain things, but it was just awesome to kind of, fill that void, whether it was bungee jumping, skydiving, racing my car. I had a 78 Malibu, so I dragged it at the racetrack up in Maple Grove, stuff like that. And then at, what is it, Midway right there in Hagerstown. So it was, it was a learning experience. So, with my wife, she's 100% behind me. and the things I do to make sure I'm being safe, and I'll be here for our children. So she's very very advocate of my treatment, and it's just been wonderful. So, and that's kind of how I got to Chambersburg. And of course, Chambersburg is a wonderful city, wonderful borough, wonderful town, whatever you want to call it. But it's great, as well as a lot of places in Pennsylvania, a lot of places in Franklin County. They basically, they support, our warriors, our veterans, our EMTs, our first responders, everybody. And, for those who, and I came from a big city. I was in the DC area, so I was out of Lanham, Seabrook, and then, of course, I went to Fort Bragg, went to Seattle, Washington, went to different bases here and there. But it's totally different when you come to a town that cares about people well-being, and a town is very sociable. You can be walking down the street and someone just say hello to you, which is great. They don't need to really know you. It's just they're being, human. They're being, they're like, hey, how you doing today? Which is pretty cool. And that's in a lot of places around here. Whether you're in Franklin County, Dauphin County, York County, I don't know all the names of the counties, but you guys get the gist of it. So, and of course, it's all these towns are tourist towns too. Like Greencastle, there's a lot to offer. Wonderful when they have their parades, their festivals, their fairs, the music at the square, everything. People come from miles around from different states to come and see these things. So when people do come, they get to experience, the wonderful things that, that we have to offer, and the niceness of people being human. And it's just wonderful, At the end of the day, that's everyone's main purpose is just, reach one, teach one, and just say hello to everybody, pay it forward. And of course, I'm sure there's, people feel a certain type of way, but usually when I see people out in public, hey, they're just as nice as can be. So it's pretty cool. We're all here, trying to make it, pay our mortgage, put our children through school, and, do what we got to do.